Tuesday night, 8:30 Eastern. I know where I'm at. It's Sideline Sports Time with Jake, John, and me. So let's start with the NBA. The Milwaukee Bucks, they made that a series thanks to, the injury-prone Nets. Game 5 just starting now. Harden, questionable, doubtful.
Well, he's playing today, it seems.
He's playing? They announced him?
They announced him active, I don't want to say 20, 30 minutes ago.
They cleared him. Yeah, they cleared him, too. It wasn't just like
you're right.
They cleared him. So he's good to go.
42 minutes ago. I was close. 30 minutes ago. Yeah, he's officially active. What?
Sign of desperation on the Nets?
Absolutely.
Yeah, Annie's pretzel soft. Kevin Durant can't do it himself, so he needs help.
Wow. Well, he's just learning from LeBron.
Oh yeah, how to be soft? Of course, it's the way of the NBA today.
LeBron is the worst. I mean, I saw something funny today on I think it was Facebook or Instagram maybe, and I now that we're talking about LeBron, I got to bring this up. Somebody said if you want to have fun, play with LeBron. If you wanted to win a championship, play with a guy like Kobe. And I was like, I kind of agree with that though, because Kobe had that like killer mentality. I'm going to win everything. LeBron never. I feel like he's never had that. I think he's a great player, but I've never gotten
to play with LeBron.
What?
You think it's fun to play with LeBron?
No, but I agreed with the Kobe part. Like, if you want to win, Kobe's the kind of guy you'd want to play with. LeBron is just, I don't know. He's never given me that killer instinct because he's great. Don't get me wrong, but he's not. I've never felt on that level. I think there's a separation.
He's not a killer.
I think Kobe's better too. I mean, no question about it. But I don't think it's fun to play with LeBron.
LeBron is like a carpenter bee, and Kobe's like one of the killer bees. You're not scared of carpenter bees. They don't do anything. But Kobe, I mean, he'll kill you. You let him, he'll kill you. So
hold on, you wanted to call him a bee. I mean, you just missed like golden opportunity. You couldn't have named them like different snakes. You just said one's a black mamba and one's a garden snake.
One's a black bumblebee.
Garden snake's not going to do anything. Black mamba, you're scared of death. I mean, come on.
Exactly.
His nickname was the Black Mamba. Come on.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I thought that's what came up. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so how do we see this series? I mean, Milwaukee came back, won the last 2 games at home. They held home court for their side of it. Game 3 was a close game. After they got blown out of game 2, they got destroyed. They had a little pride that came out as John's having his ice cream. They were having ice cream during game 2. They went to the concession. the beer vendor was coming down. Giannis got a couple of beers and a hot dog because they weren't playing well. Game 3, they decided to show up. And game 4, Irving got hurt, and they took control and destroyed the Nets. So, how do you see tonight's game going back in Brooklyn?
I'll start with John here. Let him go first.
Tonight's game, I mean, since Harden's playing, I think that the Nets end up winning this one because they have 2 guys. I don't think Kevin Durant can do it himself. I really don't. I think that he's always needed help somewhere. He needed the help in OKC, needed the help Golden State. He ran to Brooklyn, sprinted to Brooklyn. So he's always needed the help. He's always been soft. And that's why they're rushing Harden back. I think that they're rushing him back because I think if they would have won that last game, Harden wouldn't be playing tonight. If Kyrie wouldn't have gotten hurt, Harden doesn't play tonight. So I think they're rushing him back, which I think is it's a good move. It's smart, but at the same time, you could end up costing yourself Harden.
I think it's desperation, first of all.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw what happened with KD in the finals. When Golden State kind of rushed him back and he ended up getting the Achilles injury. So I don't like moves like this. Secondly, your KD point, KD was in Golden State. He went there to win a championship where he went to a super team. Here he left. He was the first one of the Nets. He was a recruiter once he got there. So you can't really talk bad about what he's done. You could talk about Irving and Harden if you want to do that. And Irving hasn't really done anything to say that he's a superstar. He's out there. He's a great point guard, but he doesn't play defense. And Harden has never been able to win. So, I mean, if KD wanted to stay on a super team, he was on one. Him leaving that situation, I don't know.
But I'll say this: I think when he went to Brooklyn, he knew for a fact
he knew what he was
going to
doing.
at least
Yeah.
get Kyrie. Like I think there was some conversation between Kyrie and him. Like, look, I'm going to go to Brooklyn, and when you can move, you're coming here. When you're available to sign with anybody you want, when you're a free agent, you're going to come here. So yeah, I know he was the recruiter, but like I don't think if he knew Kyrie was staying in Boston or he was going back to the Cavs or if he was signing somewhere else, like it was guaranteed I'm going to this place. There's absolutely 0% chance you can change my mind. KD doesn't leave. I don't think.
Yeah.
I think he knew I can team up with like one of my best friends, at least in the sport. It's clearly they're very close, right? I'm going to go team up with him. And then they pulled in James Harden afterwards. That was just an added bonus.
I mean, him and KD already have history together on OKC.
Right, but that seemed like an added bonus after the fact. But I think when he left, he knew what he was doing. It wasn't like, oh, I'm just going here and hopefully I'll get other guys. He knew for a fact what he was doing. So he wasn't chasing a championship, but at the same time, feels like he was because he wasn't chasing it in the sense that he wasn't following other people to another team, but he was chasing it in the fact that he was going to a team where he knew he had another guy coming in that he was recruiting.
Same thing with Brady.
And he was going to build his team.
Yeah, but he created it. It's different than just going to a piece.
Yeah, but when Brady went there, you knew he was recruiting all these guys. You knew Gronk was going to follow suit.
Different when you're the recruiter.
All right, but I'll say this with Brady, he went to a team already with weapons. With plenty of stuff.
You knew he was pulling guys in as soon as you saw him sign. Everybody in the world said Gronk is going there.
Yes, but in this case, I would have to go and say it's a little different just because when Brady goes there, he's got his weapons. He's got Godwin. He's got Mike Evans. He's already got his 1-2. Yes, he pulled in more guys.
Yeah.
But also he already had a solid defense. Most of that defense was already there. It just took the right quarterback. It took some coaching. It took a lot of things.
I'm sure AB was his fault. I'm sure Leonard Fournette was his fault. I'm sure Gronk was his fault. I'm sure
AB
Tristan Wirfs, drafting a guy like Tristan Wirfs, a guy that's going to protect him like that, like Tristan Wirfs did. I'm sure Tom Brady had a little bit of
sure he did.
leverage in that. So
when you're Tom Brady, you get to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree.
But yeah, I mean, obviously the biggest boon for the three of them coming to New York is the mental health profession in Brooklyn. That's what, KD has this thing where he has his fake Twitter accounts and Kyrie's got his mental health problems, which, it's a shame.
It is.
But I don't know.
KD also has his bodyguards. He's got to have bodyguards protect him against other players. Never saw that before. That's a first.
Listen, he's protecting his asset. His body is his asset.
In the days of Michael Jordan, it was so different. It was like, all right, let's go. I mean,
bodyguards are to protect you against like fans and stuff, not against other players. Not against PJ Tucker.
I'm not trying to compare KD to MJ, but it's just players are so soft, and it kills me because I wish we had players that were more like MJ or other guys from that era, just in general, where it was let's be physical, let's get into it, let's. Let the better man really win, not the guy that can draw fouls.
I actually talked about this at work the other day with a guy that's a big sports fan. I said I miss the days where there's actual rivalries in sports. There's not a lot of where the teams actually hate each other.
You're right.
Divisional opponents don't really hate each other like they used to. The one thing I hate is jersey swaps. I feel like that's not really like I feel like you don't really hate the other guy. At least like whenever it comes to like sporting wise, you're just kind of like, oh, the only reason I would have your jersey, if I played you in a game, JB, the only reason I would have your jersey is because I own you. That's it.
Sure.
I wouldn't have your jersey because we swapped it because I kicked your ass. That would be the only reason.
I disagree with you. I have no problem with after the game. After the game, you could be best friends.
I don't have a problem like social media or you want to meet up in real life, but right after you just played each other, and you can go from like hating each other to like buddies and, hey, I own a piece of your clothing. I don't like that. Like, no, I don't want any party. I have your jersey because I own you.
Yeah, I can't say it bothers me either because you know what? It's a piece of clothing. Who cares?
Exactly. Inside the arena during the game, No. Once the game is over, whatever. Who cares?
I do.
Yeah.
I would.
Well,
This is just funny.
I just wouldn't want to after you and I hate each other for 3 hours. Now we're buddy. I don't see how anybody could. Unless that was fake for 3 hours.
Those jerseys are worth money, John. It's a game-used jersey.
I also think
that's all people care about. That's all these players care about. They don't care about beating the crap out of their division rival anymore.
I think at that point it's also a sign of respect, though. It's not just like, oh, we're buddy. Sometimes it's really just, I respect you as who you are in your own right so much that I want a piece of history. I want to say, I have a piece of your greatness, if you will. I think that's sometimes what it is.
I
Not always.
Want that in my house. The only reason I would want that if I was an athlete was, like I said, because I owned you, and it's like a trophy. Like I went hunting and I I own you now.
Exactly. Great point. It's respectful.
That's what I'm saying. It's just respect for another player. Right. I think that's all it is. I mean,
yeah.
Listen,
I get what you're saying, John. Don't get me wrong. I want more intense rivalry, but you can hate another player and still have utmost respect for them.
But I've always been an athlete that's like, just whatever sport I play, nothing but disdain for you, the man lining up across from me. I've always been, any sport I've ever played. Even if it's church softball, I'm like, nope, I do not like the other team for these 2 hours. Nope.
Right. For those few hours. But once the game ends, all the hate stops for the most part.
Just a quick thing. Bucks up 12-2, 4.5 minutes in.
Yikes.
If they win this game, if the Bucks win this game, the series is over, right? I mean, they're going back to Milwaukee Game 6, and there's no way the Nets could recover from that unless all three are healthy for the Nets.
The series isn't over until it's over.
Kyrie's out for the series, I believe, so you can count him out.
With the Nets' talent, it's never over. But why would you put yourself in this position?
I mean, you can't help the injuries, but
this
would be one of the biggest upsets I've ever seen in the NBA if they don't win a championship. You have to with that kind of talent.
I agree. I mean,
and in the hype.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad that they're even like potentially going to lose.
Then, I mean, the other series, I mean, how about the Atlanta Hawks coming back last night? How much were they down? 20-something points?
A lot.
A lot, yeah.
Back,
a lot is all that matters, right?
Winning that game against the Sixers, tying it up 2 games apiece.
While Trae Young got hurt earlier in the game.
I mean, this team has heart, and it's a fun team to watch. And when we were on the air in Atlanta, we spoke about them beginning of the season. What do we think they would do? We all thought they'd make the playoffs, but who would think going into Game 4 that it would be tied 2 games apiece against the number 1 seed?
Well, I tried to tell Adam that these Sixers are a little bit fraudulent. Remember, I told Adam that a while ago.
Fraudulent is not the right word.
These Sixers are fraudulent, and they're having trouble handling these young Hawks. They should be dominating these Hawks.
They're not fraudulent.
They're frauds.
I would not call them fraudulent.
They're frauds.
I would not call them that. I would call them a good regular season team.
They're frauds.
That's not a fraud.
They win a championship.
Hold on.
And if you're the number 1 seed and you can't do it.
Fraudulent is not the right word. They're a great regular season team, but they suck in the playoffs. That's how I would describe them. I wouldn't, call them a fraud. I would say they're a fantastic regular season team, but they cannot live up to the hype in the playoffs. That's
a fraud. They're like the Steelers last.
No. The difference is because I know they're going to suck in the playoffs, though. So it's not a fraud. A fraud would imply that I expect them to win.
One seed, you're expected to win. You're expected to be the best team in that conference.
Yes, but anybody that knows basketball knows they're going to screw up because they're the Sixers. And trust the process. They always suck in the playoffs. They're not a good playoff team.
I know. That's what I was saying a while ago. Is that this is always what the Sixers do is, they might win this series. They very well could. I still haven't won the series. But, man, they should be handling these Hawks more than they are. They should have won last night. Like, I know Embiid has had his injuries, but, you got more depth than just Embiid, right? I mean, you're number 1 seed. How do you not have more depth if something happens to Embiid? Like, as a number 1 seed,
I mean, the problem is it's mostly Embiid and Simmons for the most part.
I know, but how do you get
For
to
the most
number
part.
1 seed if you don't have depth? That was my concern all along. Is like Simmons is
A
inconsistent
good
with
regular
his shooting.
season team.
Yeah, and then Embiid is always hurt. That was always my problem with these guys. They always find a way.
That's the thing of the NBA now. If you're not always hurt, you're not good. Guys that play every night are not superstars.
Look at
Superstars
Glass
are out.
Joe.
I guess
our
so,
favorite
yeah.
guy to make fun of, right? Glass Joe, Anthony Davis. Always hurt, right? That's his identity, basically. But is he a superstar? Of course.
Honestly, if he was to be able to play an 82-game season year after year, he'd be the best of the game the way he plays.
You're right.
Oh, yeah.
But he can't, so it doesn't matter.
I can't. No.
I mean, I love the idea of it, trust me. But he can't, so it doesn't really end up meaning anything.
Like I said, he's like that. It's like that big piece of glass. It looks really nice. It gets one little chip, and then starts webbing. It gets worse and worse and worse, and then boom, he shatters, falls apart.
Absolutely.
That's Glass Joe.
So what about the Clippers Utah series?
I mean, we can talk. Look, we can talk about the Lakers. I'm sure they're having fun golfing right now. If you want to talk about that, I mean, happy to talk about it.
My opinion on this is the whole, is Utah fraudulent?
I'm worried about that, man. I feel like they should be doing better than just 2-2, number 1 seed, just like the Sixers. I'm worried about them. Clippers are just hanging around, man.
But see, I won't call the Jazz fraudulent. I think I just want to give credit to the Clippers instead. I mean, I understand they're, we make fun of them for being a bad playoff team, but they're playing well. I mean, I don't know that I think it falls more on Kawhi is playing really well, and Paul George is definitely not playing too bad either. The two of them combined for over 60 points yesterday. I mean, so for me, it's more like if I had to analyze this and be honest, I give more credit to LA for just playing real well.
I don't know. I think Utah, we all saw this coming. I don't know. I don't think even if Utah somehow wins this series, I don't think they're going to make the finals.
No.
I don't think they're as good as Phoenix.
I can never bet on CP3 making it to the finals.
Will.
Always pulls a hamstring. And the biggest
but he's not the one leading that team right now. Let's be real.
He is. He's a floor general. He's the guy everybody's giving credit to.
Yeah, but
so when everybody's raving over CP3's finally going to do it.
I'm not talking about what other people are giving credit for.
He's going to pull that hamstring.
He's not leading the team in my mind. In my mind, it is Devin Booker all day.
But point guard's like a quarterback, man. He's going to get all the.
I know, but it doesn't matter. Just like, I'll give you a perfect example. It's like the Tennessee Titans. Who's responsible for winning all those games? Is it Ryan Tannehill or is it more Derrick Henry? For me, I think it's more Derrick Henry. He clearly puts the team on his back, literally at times, I feel like, right? But who gets the credit a lot of the time? You're going to give it to the quarterback. It just happens. But for me, I think
but nobody's raving about Booker. Everybody's raving about CP3. That's all everybody's talking about, yeah.
Just because they're talking about him doesn't mean they're right.
Right.
We know that.
Yeah. But I'm just saying he's going to pull that hamstring. I'm waiting for it. It's typical CP3, like game 2, pull up for a jump shot and then just come down and pull that hammy and come off the court, and then you're not sure what's going to happen. It's like death taxes and CP3 pulling a hammy, man. That's three most certain things in life.
Death taxes and Glass Joe getting hurt. CP3 would be like number 4 on that list, just below. Like I'm. Not taking away from what you're saying, but I feel like AD a little bit more likely.
I mean, CP3's been in the league almost as long as you've been alive, and this has been his MO for JB knows for a long time. When the big time comes, CP3 he's like LaDainian Tomlinson in the playoffs. Remember LT? Every time the playoffs came around, he was always hurt. Never showed up when the playoffs come around for the Chargers. So it reminded me of, man. I respect guys like that can't, do anything to playoffs because they always got to be on the sideline.
Well, it's not like he wants to be on the sideline. Let's put a pause to that real quick. It's not like he's choosing. It's not like he's saying, "Oh, let me go get hurt on purpose."
Well, be stronger, get good.
Sometimes I don't even know what to say the things you say.
If anyone has an answer to John's comment, please type it in the chat because I wouldn't even know.
I'm waiting.
I don't think any professional athlete wants to be on the sidelines. The only person I've ever seen do that was Scottie Pippen.
That's fair. But John, I don't know what's going through your head.
Meat and Moose Tracks ice cream, so that's going through my head.
There you go.
Tonight is Moose
It all
Tracks.
makes sense.
It all makes sense now.
Last week was coffee cake ice cream.
That's true.
Brain freeze.
Yep. I'll have a new flavor next week.
So that's it for the NBA, pretty much. The Nets are still down 13 with 3.5 to go in the first, so not a good start for them.
No.
I mean, they can come back, but definitely not a good start. What's going on in hockey, Jake?
Well, I know how happy you must be right now. Islanders up 1-0 in the series, and it's exactly what I said to you guys last week. They were a fantastic defensive team, and they did that exactly in Game 1. In Game 1, they were lights out on defense. They took a lead. It was game over, and I said that's what they got to do, and that's what makes this team really great. If they get a lead, good luck. They will die on the ice trying to stop you. They're a fantastic defensive team, but I'm still sticking with my prediction. I think Isles are going to lose this series in probably 6 or 7 games. It's going to be fantastic. I like that.
Look, she's just trying to trash talk until the end of August. That's all she's got. And then once the all games, that's when actions speak louder than words.
This is true. I don't agree with as much as I like what Matt has to say. I'm giving Isles. I think that's going 7 games, and I think it's going to end up going to the Lightning. And I say Knights in 6. I know I trashed the Canadians, but I feel like they're good enough to at least pull out 2 games realistically. I don't want to, when you're the Final Four, you deserve a little bit of credit. But speaking of that series, it's exactly what I was afraid was going to happen. I said it. Montreal is finally actually playing a real team, and they got crushed last night, 4-1. It's exactly what I thought would happen, though. I said they're going to have to play a real team, and they don't know how to play a real team yet. They've played a bunch of imposter teams because –
Are you saying hockey in Canada is not hockey?
It's not real. It's not real.
I think the teams
it doesn't exist.
I think the teams that are in Canada are really not that great.
Nah, they're not.
Because
I just wanted
to
get
play hockey up there.
I was looking for a soundbite about someone going off about hockey in Canada was just the perfect setup.
They don't know what a Stanley Cup looks like.
They haven't won a Stanley Cup in a long time. But no, I you know what? I told you they played in division the whole year, and I told you I don't know that any of those teams were really great. And I said one of those teams would inevitably. I said the Oilers would make it all the way to the 3rd round, as they're calling it the semifinals, which is not right. I'm just calling it the Final Four. I hate that the
Conference finals.
Yeah, but there's no conferences, so they won't call it that.
Yeah,
I don't know why. Anybody that calls this the semifinals, it's disgusting. That was the last round. This is Final Four or Conference Finals, whatever you prefer to call it. But I said Oilers, and they failed. They totally failed, but I knew one of these teams would make it just because it's going to happen.
There's Matt.
Oh, Matt.
Nice.
I have someone else that will talk hockey with me.
Oh, absolutely.
Nice.
All those anonymous.
I only write about hockey on cardiaccane.com.
Yeah, but you talk about just the Canes. Yeah. You talk about just your one team.
That's what I'm paid to do.
I think last week anonymously I kept your hockey talk going the entire time. So sorry. Most of which I had to side with Jake. We sometimes differ in football talk, but when it came to hockey last week, we were on the same page. But
it's a simple recipe, though. I'm telling you, Montreal is going to get absolutely obliterated in this series, and I know Matt, you'll agree. They haven't played real competition yet. I told you guys this, and that's what I was afraid of when I talked about teams like the Islanders and the Lightning before the playoffs even started. I said those will be fun series to watch, especially when it gets to this Final Four. Why? These teams haven't played each other yet, it'll be fun because these are good teams that'll play each other and have played legitimate competition.
Exactly.
I warned you the North Division would be a pathetic excuse, for hockey this season. It's exactly what it was.
Anytime you have Toronto, it's a pathetic, excuse for a division.
Well, let's think about that a little bit. I mean, the fact that these teams really haven't had the chance to play each other, and now they're getting a chance to really, further themselves for a Stanley Cup final in this such like a weird setup, when it came to the playoffs. So, you think about this year compared to last year in the bubble and the play-in games and stuff. And,
I hated that.
And that added a little bit because the teams had been sitting for so long, so it was a nice opportunity for them to get back into it. But
get their skates back under them. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it kind of takes it back to the history of hockey in general. Like some of these teams, when you get into the conference finals or next to get into the cup finals, a lot of these teams never played each other before. You think of the merger for the NFL back in the day, like stuff like that is just wild to put two teams together that haven't played and let them go at it, and that's what we're going to get in the finals too. So it's going to be
fun. I'm still sticking with Vegas versus Tampa, and I think my only concern at this point is Vegas is getting a cakewalk. I feel like they're going to be. I'm afraid they're going to be, as much as I think they'll still win. That's my pick from before the playoffs started. My worry is they're getting such a cakewalk right now. They might be having their expectations a little bit lowered. They may not be mentally, tough enough, if you will, at that point. I'm a little bit worried. If this series goes the way I anticipate it to, Tampa's going to be, they're going to be mentally tough because they're going to play a tough series, and you're going to see Vegas who easy wins.
Yeah. Well, and that gets them, more rest, because if they end that series pretty quickly,
which I anticipate they will.
Yeah, I said earlier, I think in 5. I mean, they really dominated last night against Montreal, and if they can keep that up, I think Montreal maybe gets slides by with 1, like a 2-1 type game. Carey Price plays out of his mind maybe, and steals 1. But at the same time, they play 5 games. That Isles series, with Tampa could go 6 or 7 the way that's going. I mean, it's tied 1-1 now, I believe. But
yeah, sure is.
1-1 after 1.
It's going to be, that series is like the series to watch for sure.
Absolutely.
Montreal, and the Montreal Knights series is like one of those ones where like you throw a movie on with your
absolutely
significant other for a little bit, and then you see that the score is what it is, and you might end the movie, and it's still late at night. You turn on the game to watch the ending. So
you say that, and I'm not kidding when I say this. Last night I was literally falling asleep during that game because I knew Vegas was going to win, and I was right. I drifted in and out. And I missed one of the goals, and I said, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
This is exactly what I expected to happen, though. They're doing exactly what I hoped. Look, Carey Price is the best player on that team right now, no question. And he's played amazing, but he can't be a one-man show. He's not going to do it all himself as much as he'd like to.
No,
that's their problem.
I agree with that. Yeah, it's wild, and to kind of stay on hockey, but. I'm not sure how much you guys take a look at the minor league sports, but in general, like the ECHL played an entire season this year with half the league. I mean, they just got into their playoffs last week. They're rolling through. The Washington Capitals affiliate just took out the top team in the entire ECHL last night. But but it's like 2 rounds and then you're in the finals. Like this next round is already the conference finals.
Wow,
that was quick.
Yeah,
but that's typical for minor league sports. That's how baseball is too.
Well, the thing is, I mean, ECHL, half the league actually opted out from playing because they were going to play a full season and try to make their way through. And that type of league, they don't have the funding because most of the money goes to the AHL teams, which is their next step, and they're down from there. So at that point, when you look at it, it's just like, hey, they're playing a whole season. Let them play, and they made it through. It was a fun deal to watch. But the fact that these guys are still playing, they want to play. It just makes me excited for the future of hockey in general, because these guys push through a full season. They're going to get, some of those guys are going to get opportunities in the AHL next year, which means they're going to get a look from their top.
Absolutely.
And, it just helps, spring some of those guys. I mean, it's not unheard of for an ECHL player to end up in the NHL all in one.
Absolutely not.
Play 3 leagues.
Well,
Go ahead.
I'm excited. I'm excited for next year for hockey, because they're switching up these divisions, which I think is great, because then you're not gonna have all this where you just play the same, couple teams and boom, you start playing a different team, in the conference finals.
Right.
You have to make an adjustment. So back to normal next year is what they're going to do. And
That's
I think it's going to
important.
balance out the league a little more, because I feel like
without a
Vegas
doubt.
is kind of getting, besides Colorado, they're just kind of getting a cakewalk right to the Stanley Cup, aside from Colorado.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I think it'll be more important also. You'll be able to judge teams a little bit more clearly. I mean,
Yeah.
look, don't get me wrong. Colorado was fantastic. And that Colorado versus Vegas series was awesome. And that's not to say that that Colorado wasn't properly ranked. I think no matter who they would have played in the regular season, they still would have ended up where they were. But it'll be better when we see them next year when they play teams like the Lightning, right? They're going to play teams like the Capitals or the Bruins, or going around the league and actually playing other teams other than basically just Vegas, because that was the big threat for them, right? That was the real big threat. Yeah, but I say that I don't count them because they're so young. I wouldn't be afraid of them this year. You give me them 2-3 years, I'm scared of them because they're going to be a fantastic team. But when they're young, it's like, all right, they're young, inexperienced. We can beat up on them for now.
Yeah.
So they didn't have a lot of competition. So I'm excited because it'll really provide a season where I can say, okay, they won the President's Trophy, but this team legitimately earned it, as opposed to, okay, maybe their division was
they played the Red Wings 8 times and got 8 wins or something like that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Matt, I saw your message. You got to go. So, Matt, it was good seeing you.
Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Hey, anytime. I'll talk fantasy. Of course, we got football coming right corner. Mini camps underway.
Can't wait.
1 month.
Talk about if you could just get Xavier to show up to Dolphins camp. I had to get my shot.
I'm hoping.
John.
He just got a brand new contract, and now he wants a brand new contract again. So that's fun.
It's always how it works.
All about the Dolphins. Thanks.
All right. Yep.
See you, going, Matt.
So the Nets down 14 after 1. Harden played 10 minutes, no points, 0 for 3 from the field.
Seems like it was useless.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's also going to be rusty.
Yeah,
so
but he's not. My point is, he's not really playing much and doing much. He's just kind of existing.
They need him.
That's what it feels like.
They need him to be prime Harden, and it's going to be hard when you take that many games off and then just jump back into a playoff series.
You're right.
Not good at all.
No. It's too bad Matt left, though. John, had he not left yet, I would have made him give his opinion on that stupid goalie debate we had last week.
I don't even remember.
About your rookie goalie Ned versus Mrazek. Oh, how could you forget, John?
Well, that was a week ago, and hey, I have kids, and I work a lot, and I've been writing a lot, so
that's a week ago.
Yeah, that feels like a year ago.
But if it was about Tua, he'd never forget that.
No, I don't forget.
It's okay to bench Tua.
It's okay, of course.
Look, you guys won 6 games last year. I don't think you can talk.
Hey, we didn't bench a rookie quarterback. We let him play through.
You also only won 6 games.
I'd rather win 6 games and let my rookie quarterback test his stuff.
6 games, a playoff team that didn't have to lose a playoff game. I'm quite proud of them.
I mean, we won double digits, so.
And did you make the playoffs?
Hey, we got double digit. That's a good start.
Did you make the playoffs?
How many Super Bowls did you win last year?
It's basically playoff the first year.
Nope. Basically doesn't count. John, did you make the playoffs?
Look, this year one.
Did you make the playoffs?
That was year one of a rebuild.
Did you make the playoffs?
I'll answer for him. No.
John, it's just a yes or no.
It's not our fault. We won 10 games.
Oh, it's not our fault. Oh, it's our division's fault.
We won 10 games.
It's not the Giants' fault.
The
Eagles
you won 6 games. You don't deserve it.
You didn't win enough games. You didn't deserve it either. John, at the end of the day, it's as simple as this. We won 6. You won 10. You know where we both ended up?
Big difference.
Not in the playoffs, though. So it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, but we have a lot more promise for the future than you guys.
That's debatable. Because I don't know about your quarterback at this point.
I don't know about your quarterback.
Right, but at least I can say with confidence he might not be the answer because I've at least got to watch him play. Your quarterback, I'm not sure. Why? Because I haven't seen him play. And today he threw 5 interceptions in mini camps.
In a monsoon.
I don't care.
I mean, if you throw a football in a monsoon, good luck.
I don't want
there's a lot of excuses.
That's exactly what I hear. Excuses.
How many picks do you have for the 2021-2022 season? 0.
Excuses.
Yeah.
Last thing I want to say for hockey, and then we will talk some football. I'm sure we got stuff we can talk about because we can just continue to debate this with John because I'd love to. 2 of the NHL awards have been announced. Nothing really exciting yet. I mean, they're just boring awards, I'll be honest, but they're coming out slowly, and next week I'll have more because they're announcing 1 award per day. So for now, we've gotten the King Clancy Memorial Trophy for that's humanitarian contributions. Being a good person, that's
cool.
It's again, I told you, it's not exciting. Pecorine won goalie for Nashville. It's not exciting.
How do they determine that? How do they determine something like who deserves that? Like,
my guess,
is that by their charity work or what?
That's my guess. It's probably kind of like what we do with Walter Payton. Right, just kind of.
But how do they determine that too? Like,
give back to community. It's giving back to community, charity work. What do you do for your community for the most part? Really, that's all. It's really not a prestigious award. I mean, it's like congratulations for doing.
It's like how much
thing.
can you record you helping other people?
Yeah.
You're not gonna do behind closed doors. You're gonna record everything you do and get credit for it. We're gonna give you an award.
Yeah, well,
I don't think it's about being recognized. I think
it's not.
Unless you're JJ Watt. Oops, sorry.
No,
you were mean. Anyway, other
miserable joke.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a minute.
Just honest, like Kyler Murray is to the Cowboys.
Listen, I'm going to go to the humanitarian story of the week, though. Christian Eriksen of Denmark had a heart attack on the field a few days ago.
Mid-game,
yes.
That was.
They had to use the paddles on him. He was basically dead for a minute.
That's terrifying, man.
Thankfully, he's okay though. That's one of those stories that's feel good. You know what? Was it a sad situation? Of course.
Yeah.
But thankfully, everything is okay, which is it makes you feel good, right? You know what? Someone was
cardiac arrest.
Someone or something is whatever you believe in. Something was watching over this poor guy because there's no way,
cardiac arrest in the middle of the field, and then and then you're able to be saved. Like that's
it's truly a miracle.
Fell on his face. Just
it's one of those things that's really scary.
And props to the people that were able to do their job and really be able to save the dude like that.
Absolutely.
That's impressive too, to be honest. That's a rough situation to be in. Have to come out and say, run out to the field and do that. Props to those people as well.
But my question is, how did they have the nerve to ask the players if they wanted to play the game that night? Because they delayed the game, they suspended it, and they came back and played.
It's the same thing in all sports. They only care about the money.
Yep.
They care about the game and the money that comes with it. That's what they care about. I don't agree with it. I think that was very wrong. But sports only care about money.
At least let them sleep on it, come back the next day. They came back and played that night.
I know. And,
that'd be like golf had been one of us. We're doing a show. Golf had been one of us has a heart attack. We get saved.
Absolutely.
You guys
it's like, let's finish the show.
Like 1 a.m., Jake and I are like, we got to continue the show. Show must go on.
I mean, I don't know.
I laugh at that, but that's not funny.
Yeah, you're good. All right, Jake, let's go.
It's kind of crazy. I mean,
it's okay if you're giving just an update, you just make a statement on social media, hey, everything is okay. Fine. But that's all you should be doing. Period. End of story. I'm sorry.
I wouldn't even care about the game if I'm a player at that point.
I agree.
or even if the opponent's guy just that happened, I'd be like, why do I care about a game, man? Like, dude almost lost his
This
life.
is bigger than a game, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, kind of hard to come back and play the game later that night, and I don't know. I don't agree with the decision, but it is what it is.
So I got one more thing. One more thing for NHL because we want to talk about humanitarian stuff. I got another good story that'll make you feel good. The other award that was announced was the Bill Masterton Memorial Trophy, which is dedication to hockey. And the player that won it, Oscar Lindblom of the Philadelphia Flyers, the reason he won it was because he had beaten cancer and came back to the game and gotten to play, kind of like what we saw in baseball this year with John, what is that player's name? Plays for the Orioles, and I'm blanking on his name.
Oh, Trey Mancini.
Trey Mancini, thank you.
Yeah.
Same kind of deal where, you know what, it's just another feel-good story, right? Just beat the odds, came back, played. So it's another one of those feel-good stories. So that's kind of why he won the award, because
he deserves it. Yeah,
the dedication doesn't get better than that. When you do something like that, I mean,
people don't see how the grind that it takes to get back from whether
absolutely.
it's a big injury or something like even bigger than an injury like that. People don't see the grind that takes and the mental grind that takes to put your feet back on the field or the rink or whatever it is. Like, people don't see how difficult that is mentally and physically for somebody.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it takes a lot to get to that point.
I think what's more impressive is not only did he play this season, he played 50 games this season, but what's really impressive, he ended up playing last season in the playoffs in 2 playoff games. That's dedication to your sport, because the cancer was, I think they found it in 2019. He came back within probably about a year or so, I don't know, calendar year probably, maybe less, played in 2 playoff games and then played this season. I mean, you want to talk about dedication to hockey. You don't get more dedicated than that. Basically, nearly losing your life to coming back, playing in playoff games, and now playing basically, almost the full season.
I always have respect for guys like that.
It's
good story before we get to baseball.
It's awesome.
The PGA, Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau, they have this huge rivalry going on. I don't know if you guys have heard anything about it, but they can't stand each other. The U.S. Opens this week, they would try to pair them together.
Oh, God.
And they asked them if they wanted to be paired up. Now, obviously, they dislike each other. They're not going to say yes. So is golf missing a great opportunity to grow the sport by putting them together and drawing all this coverage?
Yeah.
This is like a tag team match in WWE, and the two guys hate each other, so they put them together, and eventually they're going to turn on each other. So it's like eventually they'll knock each other out.
It would be like ESPN seeing Yankees versus Red Sox at the height of either team. Like, they are the best they can be, or a rivalry like that, right? And it's in the playoffs. This is to send them to the World Series. And they say, no, we're going to put on horse racing, but it's not like, the Kentucky Derby. It's just a random horse racing event. And we're just going to put that on instead.
From Aqueduct.
Right. We're going to do that instead of putting this series on these games. It's same kind of thing where, like, you cannot miss must-see TV like that. You've got to put that on.
Oh, yeah.
If there was anybody with a braid for pay-per-view right now, they would be getting the new match going, and they would, say, okay, guys, we'll throw this amount of money at you. Forget about boxing. They're golfers. We don't want to see a box.
They should box.
They don't have
say, we'll throw you X amount of money.
Kepka looks like he could go some rounds, man.
Steroids, supposedly. That's what they said. That's what the other one said, Kepka.
I'm not touching that.
I don't know. I like DeChambeau, so
I'm not feeling that. No comment on that. I'm not. Nope.
John, are you on the roid, Sean?
I'm not saying anybody is on roids or not. I'm not going to accuse somebody.
I am not saying he is. I'm saying that's what the other one said.
Okay. I was going to say, I'm not.
I don't know. I'm not in the PGA locker room, John. I'm not sneaking into the clubhouse.
Do they have locker rooms on the PGA Tour?
Yeah. In the
Of
clubhouse.
course, the clubhouse.
Do they have locker rooms or just like a clubhouse?
Well, clubhouse
I've never
is.
You
I've never
to a
been
country
inside
club?
I've never been inside a country club.
You never been to a country club, Joe?
No.
Wow.
In the clubhouse, there will be, a shower area and bathrooms, and that's the locker room.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've never been. I've only been
it's-
golfing like one time, but I was never in a country club. I was just
We're not counting miniature golf, Joe.
No, I've been golfing. I have clubs. I have a whole set in my basement here.
Wow.
I need to go
the
golfing
course.
soon.
Let's hit the links.
Yes, I have a whole bag picked up a couple of years ago. It's been a while since I used them.
We'll make that our
We
next
got like
competition.
6 courses around here, man. All really good courses too.
And yet you play none of them.
I have kids. It's really hard to get out and go golf.
That's fair.
You have a wife and kids.
6
And you work
a.m.,
like
John.
50-hour
First tee
weeks.
time. 6 a.m.'s first tee time, Joe. You can
Sounds
do
like
it.
That's
a good
true.
time, but I'm sleeping at that time.
Sacrifice.
Yes, I like my sleep.
So speaking of cheaters, because we talked about some steroids. John, what's going on with your MLB?
Are we talking Barry Bonds?
No,
No, we're talking about cheating.
Oh, okay.
we're talking about the.
Well, if you want to talk about the this whole sticky situation, they're putting a 10-day ban on pitchers that use any sort of rosin bag or anything like that. Anything that you can get your hands on, basically, it immediately gets you a 10-day ban, which I think it should be more, but I'm guessing the MLBPA won't allow it to be more than that. I don't know the details in that regard, but I'd imagine that MLBPA stepped in and is like, hey, you're not going to get a whole lot.
We were talking before the show, me and Jake. Well, you were getting your ice cream together. And basically a starting pitcher 10 days is 2 games. So that's the equivalent of it. If a reliever gets caught, a reliever's kind of screwed if they get caught. But a starting pitcher, they're kind of beat with for 2 games. So that's what the equivalent of the suspension would be. I think it's a horrible rule. I think they need to, do more. I think 30 games minimum.
Yep, I thought the same thing. Something that really sends a message.
Because
30
2
games
starts
first
is
time season,
nothing.
the second.
2 games to them is nothing. I mean, yeah, you say 10 games, but they're only going to pitch unless you're Shohei Ohtani, where you're playing, almost every day and crushing it for your team. It doesn't mean much.
See, the hard thing is with that is it with or without pay for that suspension? If it's with pay, it's different. If it's without pay and you're putting 30 days because the guy only pitches every 5 days, then you're taking 30 days because he's still getting paid the days he doesn't pitch. So then you're taking 30 days away worth of pay instead of 10 days worth of pay. And then that really muddies things up with MLBPA. So it's really hard because technically MLB teams could say, well, we would pitch it. We could pitch him every day.
Did you see the article yesterday, I believe it was? The guy who got fired from the Angels, and he was with the Tigers with all the big names that were on that list.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Scherzer,
the guy that basically
Verlander,
outed everybody.
Garrett Cole.
Yeah. He leaked texts. I think that's the guy you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It was a big article. There was some big names on there of people asking for, this concoction he made up.
Huh.
Yeah.
He was the architect.
Mm-hmm. The guy basically he blurred out phone numbers.
Right.
But basically said hey, I need it basically said I need, whatever it was. So I
did not see this.
Here you go. The guy's name was Bubba, or that was his nickname at least. So
of course they're not going to use it.
A message would be, "Hey Bubba, it's Garrett Cole," and I'm actually reading a message that he had.
Yeah.
If you could help me out with this sticky situation, winking emoji. The stuff I had last year seizes up when it gets cold. Can you come up with it, or do you have a mix that will play better in cold weather? And then he would respond to him, whatever. So that was Garrett Cole. He talked about Max Scherzer. He had, I'm trying to find other big names.
I always thought it was weird how Garrett Cole was terrible in the Pirates, and then all of a sudden he magically became good when he left.
He wasn't terrible with the Pirates.
He wasn't the prospect.
He was not nearly as good that he is.
He wasn't the prospect he was supposed to be.
You're right.
It was
And then he
terrible, though.
magically became this like dominant pitcher with the Astros out of
Right.
nowhere.
Wow.
Because he was kind of like a bust with the Pirates. I mean, everybody is, but that's a different
I was going to say, that's not saying much.
They're the Bad News Bears.
Yeah. Well, that is.
Anything else going on in baseball?
I'm curious who else is on that list.
It was Scherzer, Verlander, Cole.
I'm not surprised by Verlander.
And then there were some lesser names, but those were the three big names that
So like
stood
the big
out.
Tigers that they used to have, the big Tigers team.
Tigers and Astros were the
Okay,
two.
not surprised
two
by either of
organizations.
those.
That were basically implicated from the article I read. Listen, it is what it is.
I think the truth is, there's
Cheating
a lot
is
of
what
players.
it is.
A lot of players are probably using it. Let's be real.
Maybe, but we can't speculate because we don't know that. But we do know
You're right.
out of this article that these players potentially did it. So
Absolutely.
Well, you know what's funny? I mean, talking about cheating, you got Shelley Houlihan, the middle distance runner, the American record holder for the 1,500 to 5,000 meter races, blames her steroid test on her burrito she's eating. Got caught cheating, and the first thing she came up with, a la Garrett Cole, it was the burrito.
she's not related. She's not related to Rafael Palmeiro, is she?
See, if she came back positive for certain drugs, like heroin's a good example, because she could say, "Oh, I had a cup of noodles, a cup of ramen," right? Why? Because that actually happens. At least, as stupid as that is, it's realistic because that actually happens. People, I'm sure you know that. If you ever have to take a drug test, do not have cup of ramen or anything like that.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know. Or Poppy C bagels, too, I think.
I know Poppy C. I've seen Seinfeld enough.
Yeah.
I've seen Seinfeld
exactly.
enough to know that.
Right. But it's like there are certain things that will come back. Like, so if she could have said that, all right, fine, maybe I'll believe that. But a burrito?
It was the burrito.
You got to explain the ramen because I don't understand the ramen. I understand
I don't know.
But the ramen.
I don't know the science
I'm intrigued why with ramen. I don't know that one. That one's
John,
new.
all I know is we're not going to the burrito place she goes to when we go out to eat, John.
Nito burrito, no.
But what is going on with these athletes? And they don't know how to answer questions. You got caught. With the burrito?
The Garrett Cole thing, and then this. My gosh,
it's just horrible.
It's sad. I was saying to JB before the show. I mean, come on. You're a professional athlete. The best you can come up with in Cole's case was I mean, really? I
have to wonder,
come up with a better answer.
I have to wonder if they have so many different people, these athletes these days, telling them so many different things that they just don't know how to think for themselves. And they just kind of like they're robots and they're just like, tell me what to say in this situation. And then they get a situation they're not prepared for. And then they kind of just, some of them just freeze.
They freeze up.
Because they have so many different people just telling them how to live their life that they can't think for themselves. That's what it seems like, which is sad.
Speaking of things that are frozen, 4 minutes to go in the first half, Harden, who's played a total of 18 minutes still with 0 points.
That's not funny, but it is.
What?
0 points in 18 minutes. He took one shot.
3 rebounds and 2 assists.
On the field. Yeah.
Pathetic.
So he's only taken 3-pointers though. He's not doing anything else. He took 4 3-pointers in the game. The leading scorer so far on the net is Jeff Green. That's a problem.
How much are they losing by?
What happened?
How much are they losing by?
They're down 12 last time I checked. They're 12, 49-37 with 4 minutes to go.
Yeah.
And a half.
They still have a shot, but once they get to that 17, 18-point range, I think they pack it in.
Well, they're keeping it at 12, but...
Yeah, still within striking distance.
It's just not good. I mean, Harden, why have him out there if he's not doing anything? He's taking up a spot somebody else could do something.
Because, I think Kevin Durant's mind is so soft that if Harden leaves, or he's not out there, then Kevin Durant's going to think he has to do it himself. And we know he can't do that. So maybe that's why. Protect his fragile mind. I don't know.
There was one more thing. I knew I meant to talk about it before with NBA. I totally forgot. It was a tweet somebody sent in our group chat earlier this week that sources are according to Woj, are looking to expand rules to constrict unnatural motions on jump shots, aka players drawing fouls.
Thank goodness.
Which goes back to our players are weak and not mentally strong. I'm loving that. I meant to bring it up before when we were talking about it, when I was making fun of LeBron.
But the question is, how do you decide what a natural motion is for somebody? Everybody's jump shot is different.
Yeah, but I think there's.
So it's just.
I was going to say, if a guy is going up, he's heaving it up, and he's clearly, maybe pushing his shoulder, right, or he's putting his body forward to make some kind of contact. That's an unnatural motion. Why? Because then it looks like he's trying to draw the foul. He's intentionally forcing the contact when there clearly would not have been any. Things like that, I think, are what they're going to be looking for. That's my guess.
It's the same thing as like in the NFL when they have to make judgment calls, or in any other sport where they just have – sometimes the refs have to make judgment calls. I think it's going to be the same thing in this case. When they make that call, it's going to be a judgment call. It's not. I mean, they have rules to follow, but it's just going to basically be what the ref thinks. And that's it. Not necessarily book-wise, but just judgment. And what the ref sees and thinks, and that's about it. And is how that'll go. And what the ref says sticks.
I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
That's part of judgment calls, though. That's just how those work.
I don't like guys that do it, but I don't like. How do you?
I mean,
I think
we don't like the way pass interference is called in the NFL, but that's a judgment call.
I was going to say it's going to be like pass interference or what's a catch in the NFL.
Yep. And we never like it, but we live with it.
Right, but the problem is the system is not set up well. This is not, if they don't define this properly, we're going to see the same situation, and a bad system is not going to help.
And I hate to say the NFL is becoming unwatchable the way that these rules are implemented.
At times it can. I know what JB means. He doesn't mean
it's horrible.
You physically can't watch, but
it's hard
sometimes it's really painful to watch.
But guess what? Every Sunday you're going to be there 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and 8:30. You're going to be right in front of that TV, and then Monday night and Thursday night you'll be there, just like the rest of us.
You're right, but but basketball needs
to be there.
Basketball does not have that same draw. Yes, a lot of people watch, and it's very popular. Don't get me wrong. But it's not like football where you can make up all these stupid rules.
You can do whatever you want, and we're still going to watch. We're going to come back.
Right. The NBA has got to be careful, though, because they will lose fans. People are not as dedicated as they are to football. And that's not like a knock on any sport. That's just football really has that draw. Like, that's just it always has. So
I agree.
Yeah, I think it's just bad.
Yeah. But we'll see. If they define it properly, it'll be okay. But I'm afraid they won't. But we'll see.
Yep.
Speaking of NFL, we got a couple things I figure we could talk about. I know, first of all, do you guys have anything? Because I found some stuff for us to talk about for that.
The NFL, what's that?
1 month until training camp, we'll get something. Oh, the Deshaun Watson stuff.
There's nothing.
Yes, there is actually.
I haven't heard anything.
The Texans came out and said that we'll make a decision on Deshaun Watson before training camp. So
there's basically nothing.
No, that is something because they said they gave you a deadline on when they're going to make their decision on what they're going to do with him. So now we know when the Houston Texans are going to make their move, whether it's guy's not ours or trading him or whatever they end up doing. They're going to make their decision and they're going to move on with or without him by the time training camp rolls around in about a month from now. So in about a month, we'll know where Deshaun Watson's going to,
what's going to
happen with his future. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of unknowns there. So
I mean, that really makes a difference in the league because if they
loosen their
grip on not trading him and they actually agree to it, that changes the landscape potentially of where he goes. Because if he goes to a powerhouse team that needs a quarterback in the AFC, that potentially changes the landscape. If he goes to a team in the NFC that needs a quarterback, say the Packers, say Rodgers doesn't play, and then somehow that's just an example.
I know.
But say he goes to the Packers because Rodgers is retiring or something. That changes the landscape. So this could be gigantic for the landscape of the NFL, depending on what the Houston Texans do with him, what they decide. If they hold true to what they came out and said.
But it also means absolutely nothing right now because of two things. First of all, we don't know what they're going to do. Second of all, more importantly, we have no idea what's going to happen with him. Like, we don't know what's going to happen with the cases. We have no idea where that's going to go.
Well, the legal stuff is not going to, I believe, transpire until sometime February next year. So whoever wants him for a Super Bowl run this year does not have to worry about him not playing this year when it comes to legally. So that stuff doesn't take place until after this year's season is all over, the playoffs and everything. So you would get him for at least 1 year if you trade for him. Just throwing that out there.
Well, we'll see. It's interesting. I mean, it's
of course it's kind of no news right now.
It is. It's no news, but it's news all at once, which is weird.
It's something we don't have a whole lot in the NFL right now.
You're right. Well, there was one thing I definitely wanted, actually two things. Number one is the Bears head coach, Matt Nagy. We were talking about it in our group chat today. I had to bring it up because it's just so pathetic. It's pathetic how bad people are coaching sometimes, and it kills me. He said, and I quote, that there is no possible scenario that Justin Fields is the starting quarterback in week 1. And Nagy said, Andy Dalton is our starter, Justin is our number 2, and we are going to stick with this plan. You just got to trust the plan. Sometimes I wonder how these men have a job. I really do. Because how are you going to say, oh, yeah, let's keep Andy Dalton? I mean, you drafted Justin Fields for a reason. It wasn't an accident.
You gave up next year's pick for him.
Right.
And this year's.
To you guys.
So, we didn't really get it. We wasted it.
Yeah, but whatever.
This year's at least.
Right.
But that's just horrible. Horrible. I would say let him compete if I was the head coach.
I agree.
First of all, I don't want to give Andy Dalton, the right of the job. He's an NFL player. Win the job.
Absolutely.
If you're good enough,
he's
you'll
not
win
a
the
good
job.
NFL player. He's not a good one.
I mean,
he's horrible.
Tom Brady is I think Bruce Arians and Tom Brady are the perfect example. Bruce Arians has said publicly, Tom Brady does not have the job. He's going to compete for it. Now, of course, Tom Brady will get the job. Why? Because he's Tom Brady. But Bruce Arians says it because he means I want my best quarterback to be out there. Now, obviously, Tom Brady would be that quarterback. There's no way anybody's beating him out. But he wants his players to play at the highest level that they can and go out there and prove to him that they deserve to be where they are. Of course, some guys have reserved spots, if you will, guys that are clearly going to win their spots. A guy, for a perfect example, Tristan Wirfs, right? There's no way anybody, the way he performed last year, is going to take over his spot. He was lights out. And I know it's not a big, sexy position, but he was lights out. He didn't let up a single sack all season.
It makes a big difference.
Unbelievable, right?
As a rookie.
But he's still going to have to earn his spot, if you will, according to the coach. That's the way it should be. I don't like this, I'm automatically naming my guy. No, that's not how this works. I don't know how he's head coach still. It makes no sense to me.
He's horrible. He should have been fired a long time ago.
I agree.
The only thing
22 minutes for Harden, 0 points at the end of the first half.
The only thing I could see, maybe there's like reading between the lines. Maybe if you want to go that route and say he's saying he's not going to start in week 1 at any chance because they're playing the Rams, and then week 2, I believe they're at home against the Bengals. So he's not going to die from Aaron Donald. And week 1, Justin Fields, and then because Nagy says, well, there's no chance of him starting week 1. He didn't say week 2. So you save him from dying from the Rams. You give him the Bengals, who are a lot easier. Maybe that's it.
I don't
doubt
take it
it.
that way.
I doubt it with Nagy, but maybe
Nagy's not that smart.
Is Andy
Yeah.
Dalton that's also a player he needs to be named the quarterback?
Yeah.
If I'm Andy Dalton, I come out and say, no, I'm going to compete for my job. I don't care what they say. I'm the number one. I want to win the job.
I agree.
You know, the only quarterback that I can think of off the top of my head that's that soft is Carson Wentz and
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers.
Fair.
Aaron Rodgers mentally soft. Yeah. Mentally just.
Well, he doesn't want to play in the city because they drafted a quarterback. Meanwhile, he's not going to lose his job. So I don't
Yeah.
understand what the problem is.
That's always a problem with him. He always has something wrong. Something's
course.
always wrong.
It always
diva.
comes back to Rodgers. It always comes back.
It always.
It does. It
And
always
I didn't
comes
even
full
do it this
circle.
week. This
Always
week it
comes
wasn't
full
me.
circle.
Well,
Normally
we could
it's my
talk how
fault.
Portugal beat Hungary 3-0 today. And Ronaldo's 12th Euro win, the most in tournament history. We could talk about that.
I
We
think
could
I'm
talk
okay.
about- See?
Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about, and I know John doesn't like this, and we kind of briefly touched on it when Matt showed up for a couple minutes. The X-Man, John, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't said anything. He hasn't attended the voluntary mini camps or whatever, but he's not showing up. And he got a new contract recently, but now he wants another new contract because he's not the highest paid cornerback in the league anymore because the market's reset. So now he wants to be the highest paid. He's not holding out. He hasn't said he's holding out, but all indications from what every Dolphin fan and all the writers and everybody is, he's probably gonna hold out because he wants to be paid because he had a record-setting year last year.
Right.
So he wants to be paid like the best cornerback in the league. He wants to be paid up there with the top, and he's not quite there. Even though he just got a new deal, which I don't like. I mean, I think if you get a brand new deal, just like Deshaun Watson got a brand new deal, and then he said he wanted out. His situation's a little different with everything legally, but he got a new deal, and then a year late, not even a year later, he's like, I want out. Now, I don't like that. If you get, I said it with Watson. I'll say it with Howard. Howard hasn't said he's holding out yet, but even if he does, I don't like it. You get a new contract, you play that contract. You just got it. You pandered for it. We paid you. Go play. You just got paid. Why do you? If you set that precedent in any organization where a guy can get paid like he wants, he gets his deal, and then a year later, or 2 years later, he's crying about another new deal. That's a bad precedent to set.
Well,
And
I can
don't
understand
care-
2 years. The next year, there's no reason for it.
if you
But
get
2
like a
years,
if you get like a 5-year deal, and 2 years later you're already complaining about getting another brand new deal,
I can deal with 2 years.
I don't like
That's fine.
that because that's fresh. That deal's still fresh. Like,
I agree.
I'm not a fan of that. Like, I think that if you pander for a deal and the team pays it, you should play it out. I mean, they did what you asked. What more could the team do? They did what you asked them to do. That you asked to get paid handsomely, got paid handsomely. Now it's not enough.
I think what they should
don't
do
like
just to shut him up, maybe move some money forward. Like,
I mean, he hasn't said anything. So
move his
all this
money
is
up in the
speculation.
contract for years. So let's say he's going to get paid. I don't remember how much he's going to get paid this year, but let's say he's going to get paid $10 million this year. Make it so he doesn't make as much money on the back end, but right now he'll make extra money. So if he's going to make $10 million this year, make it $13 million, $14 million now, and he'll lose that money at the end of his contract, but gain it now. So he shuts up.
And like I said, this is
I don't
all
know.
speculation from
Of course.
fans and writers. Xavier Howard and his agent have said zero. They've indicated nothing about it. It's all been speculation. But
Yeah.
hypothetically, if it does happen, I don't like it whether it's on my team or another team.
I don't like it
Because
at
I
all.
think if
I
you get a
agree.
brand new deal and you got paid like you're asked, why should you get another brand new deal? That's a bad example to set,
I agree.
on any team. And
I don't
I
know.
agree.
I don't have an issue with it as long as it's not the next year. 2 years later, the market's different. I can understand that.
I mean, I get it. It just, you know what? Restructure the contract, but don't ask for a new one. I think that's the way to go about it. And the way it sounds like is he wants a new contract, not a restructured contract.
new.
And there's a big difference. There's
wants
a very big
wants to be
difference.
paid apparently like the top corners in the league. top of the league, which he deserves it.
I agree.
You just got your deal.
But just play it
it's
out.
It's not the Dolphins' fault that the market reset. It's not
You're
their
right.
fault.
I
Wow.
agree.
Sean is
Yep.
all organization here. No, he doesn't
Hey, look,
respect players at all.
I'm all for
No
supporting
respect
players.
for the players.
I'm all for supporting players, but at the same time, I also am of old school where I think that you get a brand new deal, you should play it out and play out that contract. Maybe if there's a year left, you want to start negotiating, okay, that's fine. But, right away asking, it's like a kid asking for a toy in the store, they get it, and then they're like, well, I want another one. It's like, no, you just got one. Like,
I think
another one.
I think I see what John's saying because he's only signed the contract in 2019, and I don't recall when in 2019 it was. I'd have to look back and find that. But he's played maximum 2 seasons on it, max. Yeah. And so I get it. It sets a bad precedent, which you don't want to do.
Because then every player is going to be like, well, I just got paid in the market. If
the
Jordan
market
Baker
reset
just signed the other day. If the market resets, in 2 months, is he going to say, well, dang, I'm the 10th highest paid linebacker, but I want to be paid top 5? No, give me a new deal. Like, see, I don't like that. I don't like that can of worms that you open with that.
I agree. It's like I said, it sets an odd precedent, or really not an odd, a bad precedent that you don't want moving forward.
Yeah, I think if you give the players too much power, I think it turns into what the NBA is, and I don't quite like that, where it's like all the players have all the power, and I like it to be kind of like balanced. The NBA is all like that. Players have all the power. They don't want to play somewhere. James Harden, I don't want to play in Houston. I'm out, and James Harden got his way right away. And that's starting to leak into other sports. You're starting to see it leak into like the NFL and things like that. The NBA started that where players just have all the power whenever it comes to, if I don't want to play here, buy me out. Blake Griffin, look what Blake Griffin did with the Pistons. He didn't even play hard, and then all of a sudden they bought him out and, boom, now he's on the Nets. And now he's dunking when he forgot how to dunk. He went from Todd Gurley's knees to like
he should owe them money.
Yeah, like I just don't like that precedent, that the players in the NBA have set. But that's on them getting all the power, and that doesn't sit well with me.
I don't disagree. I don't normally agree with John, but this one I have to agree with.
I don't know. I object. You're out of order.
This again. I was waiting for it. I heard that object. I was waiting for Judge Joe.
But listen, I mean, they're different leagues, different circumstances. 80-man roster, 15-man roster, 12-man roster. It's a completely different thing. You have one guy out of 12 that doesn't play. Especially if it's a superstar, it changes things up. The NFL, Aaron Rodgers doesn't play. The Packers are still going to have a team out there.
They're not going to have a real team. Not going to have a team that wins the Super Bowl.
They're going to be a fake team, though, because they're not going anywhere.
No. And everybody knows it. Jordan Love, he's not taking them anywhere.
No shot.
That's why I think if you're Matt Nagy and if Aaron Rodgers doesn't play, you got to be all in on Justin Fields like ASAP.
Well, if you're
that is your division. That is your division for the taking if Rodgers does not play.
It's not going to happen.
And you ain't going to win with Andy Dalton, just like the Packers aren't going to win with Jordan Love.
Matt Nagy's
Anything else going on in the world of sports this week, guys? This is a pretty quiet week for us.
I know.
Well, the football's kind of down, and hockey's winding down a little bit.
Soccer. We spoke track and field. There was some crazy talk of showing horse racing in there. We covered like the whole gamut.
I believe all that was you, JP.
No, that was me. I got one last thing.
He got all that soccer.
I got one last thing I want to quickly share. I'll share my screen for this because this really pissed me off, and I've complained a lot about how hockey doesn't call things properly, and this was pathetic. This was last Wednesday before the Islanders moved on. Watch the end of this play with Kyle Palmieri. This play right here, number 21. Watch this. Watch what happens when he goes behind the net, right there. Slammed him into the – and you know what happened?
Love it.
Oh yeah. It's real great when it's after the play, real legal.
Yeah.
You know what happened to him? Nothing.
I think what JB is saying is in the 90s, nothing ever happened to you.
And that
was a regular play in the playoffs in the 90s.
And that's okay.
I'm just going to say the Bruins were soft.
I'm not disagreeing about anything, but the league needs to set a precedent one way or the other. Either we're going to let everything go or letting nothing go. One way or the other, but make a decision already.
I
they'll
like to
suspend
let the players sort it out. I as long as if there's not an injury. Once there's an injury, I think you have to do something.
Well, that player, he looked like he
was
may
that
have been
player on the ice.
On the ice. Face? Looks a little injured to me. I don't know about that. I mean,
you're out of order.
JB, you're out of order. But I don't know. It bothers me because you know what? They're so weird about the rules in the playoffs. I'm okay with letting it go maybe in the flow of the game, but you can't let that kind of stuff go. I mean, personally, I know it's the playoffs and things get a little chippy, but for me, that's walking a fine line. At that point, that's going from, if it's a light push into the boards, you just kind of bump him into the boards, fine. But he in the face into the boards, that can cause some serious injury. So I'm okay with it getting chippy at the end of plays. Again, if he pushes him into the boards, not too hard, where he's going to seriously injure him, all right, fine, I'll let it go. To me, that's where you draw the line. He went right to the face into the boards. For me, that's too much. But that's just me. But I don't know. I get
it
playoff.
was a cheap hit. It was
exactly.
a cheap hit. And I'd have no problem, if they suspended him for it. But I don't know. I've seen a lot worse than nothing's happened in the NHL. I don't mind players policing themselves in the NHL as long as there's not an injury. If there's an injury, you got to do something.
I get that.
That's fair.
So, all right. Anything else?
Nope.
Not for me.
That's about it.
Yeah, I got nothing else. So, all right. Well, then I guess that'll be it for this week. So I'll start with you, JB. Where can they find you?
JB Ellis. JB_ the program on Twitter, Facebook, JB Ellis. Here, the NBA Carousel, which I produce on Mondays. The NFL Carousel coming back in the fall, where I got the Chargers. And who knows where I'll show up? Brooklyn Cyclones game last week. Maybe a Yankee game, a Met game, maybe even the Nets when they make the finals. Told you last week. Forget Marlin Man. JB Man now.
The judges everywhere. The judges in.
Oh gosh! All right, John, where can they find you?
You can find me here on Sideline Sports, the most important place for the most important face. You can find me on cardiaccane.com, writing articles about the Carolina Hurricanes and Perch on the Gridiron. You want to check out Perch on the Sidelines. I guess that's what Matt was calling himself earlier. Perch on the Sidelines. Check out Matt and crew with them. I'm not on there, but Matt, you brought Matt, so I figured to mention that. But anyway, back to the most important place with the most important face. Cardiaccane.com. I write articles about the
John, you're out of order. You're out of order, John.
I got to hurry and put my stuff in before I get muted. BlueHawks13 on Twitter. And if I got sent, the bailiff took me out. You can find me BlueHawks13, NFL Carousel in the fall, NBA Carousel occasionally, Sports Arena Monday and Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. with Eric Wilson, Alex Fleming, Megan Price, Michael Caratanuno, and Ty Ray. Find us all on there. That's all the places you can find me. And Jake, what about you?
Always find me here, most importantly, on Sideline Sports with this squad, I guess you want to call us, the Goon Squad, if you will, because at least John, that's what he is.
This is like the Mighty Ducks, man. Like the
feels like it sometimes. More importantly, you can find me on Twitter if you ever need to find anything. I love it, Matt. I love it.
Wow.
What I miss?
Watching the Mets game.
It's like the third time I've ever seen JB show emotion.
I know.
It was a great play. The Mets are up. they're bunting, trying to sacrifice bunt one out before we go off the air. Rizzo lets it drop. They double plays in order. Throws to second. Easy out at second. Throws to first. Guy drops the ball as a leg.
Yikes.
Lost a double play. It was an easy double play. Great heads-up play by Rizzo.
By the way,
all right.
JB, you need a. I don't think you should ever do it, but in this case, you need an Aaron Judge shirt. Then you're the judge.
Oh,
There we
Boom,
go.
you
Or
can wear
Joe
you can
Judge.
wear an Aaron Judge shirt every week. Be the judge, and boom, there you go. Get a
I like
robe.
that.
Wear a judge shirt over it. Get your little gavel. Boom. There
I
you go.
like
That's
that.
what we need, a little gavel thing going. Get the sound effects.
I got one
How's your
last
ice
thing.
still frozen? Go ahead.
One last thing before we go. A buddy of mine shared this in our Facebook group today, actually. If anybody is interested in doing announcing stuff, my buddy Jack put this in. Philadelphia Flyers play-by-play announcer Jim Jackson is having like a little mini sports camp thing. I don't know. Basically, it's you can sign up. You can buy tickets, and he'll give you it's like a 3-hour session. There's a couple sessions. I'll show you the link. So there's a couple sessions for professionals / college students, and then youth sessions. That's for 17 and under. So I told him I'd give him a quick shout out on that. If anybody is interested in doing anything like that, check this out. It's on our Facebook group. I figured I'd throw that out there for any of our fans. If any of them are interested in any of this stuff and you want to get better at it, tickets are on sale for that. So out of order. I figured I would throw that out there. It's sports related. It's hockey related, right? I keep it all. It's all relative.
It was great.
By the way, I haven't seen you guys' videos of you playing cornhole, but just so you know,
They're out
I have
there.
not seen it.
I put them out on the web.
There will be
John,
cornhole at my house this Saturday at 4. So
Well, I expect
You know
video,
what?
John. John, you send me that footage, and I will play it on next week's show when we talk about it. I guarantee it. All you got to do is send it to us.
may or may
Giving-
not take.
Giving us the scout. Giving us the
Yes.
scouting early.
Absolutely.
I told you exactly how I throw it, and
Hey,
Not
I'd
gonna-
love to see it. I got to see how my
Yes.
partner throws. I got to
I'm
get
sure I
ready.
gotta see how you throw.
I might be playing this weekend as well, funny enough.
JB,
so.
do you know how Debbie throws? Have you figured that out yet? Have you guys talked about how this person throws, that person throws? Who's going to stand on the right side or the left side?
I don't know, John. The way I figure it, it doesn't really matter. We're just going to
It
win.
matters what side
Winners
you
win,
stand
John.
Just
Winners win. We find a way to win. The
like a
Giants
pitcher
didn't have
in
a plan when we
baseball.
beat the Patriots twice. We weren't planning on,
out of order.
we weren't planning on the ball being caught on the helmet. It just happens. Winners win, John.
Now, that was luck, JB.
Like a pitcher,
that was
I
luck,
don't-
and you know it.
I gotta make sure that I do everything the right way, like I like it.
I agree.
So that way I'm comfortable. So I
No
throw my
spider
best.
tack, John. No spider tack.
And if you take a little step past the line, you're not out of bounds. Right side. See, it matters to her. It should matter to you.
I
That's
agree.
all I got.
See, Debbie's on the right side. I'm with you on that. I'm a right
Told
side
you.
kind of person.
Yep.
I throw
I'm on
from
the
right to
winning
left.
side.
See, I'm left-handed, so I like being on the left.
See, there you
Because
go. I'm
Since
right-handed.
a
That's why.
lefty, if I stand on the right, I might run into the board. So I
See?
like that open space.
I get that, John. Same way.
Yep.
I'm a righty, so I'm trying to throw this way across my body
Yep.
a little bit. That way, I'm getting the right trajectory. See,
You don't want to worry about
this is
hitting the board with
teamwork
your
right here.
foot. JB's not going to give you an extra throw. You got to make sure that board's not anywhere close to your right foot when you step forward.
I agree. I'm with
That's
you.
how this works. We're
Just
ready.
remember,
I'm ready.
winners
John,
are going to win.
I expect
Winners are
footage
gonna
this
win.
weekend, though. I expect some footage. If you really are playing, I expect the footage. And if I play, I will get some.
Oh,
I
yeah.
promise.
Yeah,
If
every
it's- if
year.
it's not raining.
Every year we play cornhole on my birthday. So
Oh, your birthday's
your
this
birthday?
weekend?
yeah, my birthday's coming up.
When's your birthday, John?
I'm gonna be 31. I got the same birthday as Lou Gehrig.
I don't know his
Oh,
birthday off
fun
the top of
fact.
my head. I'll be honest.
What kind of Yankee fan are you, Jake? You don't know Lou Gehrig's
All right,
birthday.
what's his
Oh, my
birthday off the
gosh.
top of your
Hey,
head?
Our show's over.
Hold
You're
on.
out of
JB,
order.
what's his birthday off the
Mute
top of your head right now? Right now.
John's birthday. Come on.
You.
He's been muted. He's out of here. Strike
He doesn't
three.
know off the top of his head, and I know he doesn't. Well,
Come
now
on,
we
that was a
know
good
John's
answer.
birthday is June 19th. So,
Exactly.
Lou
what I
Gehrig,
said.
baby.
so
I love
John?
Lou Gehrig. I've always
John?
loved Lou Gehrig.
happy early birthday then.
Thank
Yes,
you.
happy birthday, John.
always been a Lou Gehrig guy. I always loved him. I always respected that guy.
I
Not a
didn't know that
Yankee
was
guy,
his birthday, though.
Yeah.
Learned something
And Jeff
new.
Gordon. I believe Jeff Gordon too.
Oh, well, there you go.
Jeff Gordon.
There you go.
Just saying.
All right.
We got NASCAR into. We're killing it this weekend.
We're
Yeah.
everywhere.
Cornhole,
Everywhere.
NASCAR, everything.
That's why you guys come to watch Sideline Sports. We are everywhere.
I'm curious if Matt plays cornhole. I'm just gonna throw it out there. He lives right down the street. I'm curious if Matt plays cornhole as well. I don't know if he's a cornhole person, but
I don't know.
I'm just curious. He's never mentioned it, but I would imagine he'd be good at the game. Just my
You'll have
maybe
to
maybe
find
we'll
out
have to
a
invite
I'll
him.
have to ask. Yeah.
There you go.
He lives right down the street. So,
Oh,
so I got, you
all
guys
right.
will get food talk next week. I know you guys are dying for it.
Oh, I'm sure.
I know they're dying for my takes on the
Oh,
best steaks.
I'm sure. Oh,
Takes
you're
on the best steaks.
out of order. I mean, out of order. And I think that is the perfect spot to end this show. There you go. Anything else, guys? Except John, you can't talk. So JB, anything else?
That's the news. I'm out of here.
All right, everybody, have a good week. John, happy early birthday, buddy. I'll unmute you for 2 seconds. Happy early birthday.
Thank
we
you.
We will see you guys next week. Next
This
time we
is all-
see
This is
John,
all going downhill the last 10 minutes. Just
Absolutely.
completely going off the track.
that's how the show goes. Next time we see John, he'll be 31. There
my
you go.
daughter started calling me old tonight.
You are old, John. I knew that already.
No. She said you're old like 10 times in a row. I'm like, no, I'm not. My
Well, if you're old,
mother-in-law
what does that make me?
Ancient.
my mother-in-law called
I'm young.
called
He's
me
old. You're ancient.
My mother-in-law called me old. My daughter called me old. I'm like, no, don't call me that. I'm a young man.
Oh, geez. All right. Well, I think that's it. So everybody have a good week, and we will see you guys next week.